Shalom, shalom, it's the brother Kadash. I want to start off by giving our praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Wakak Wadash. This is, well, I'm going to name it, We Will Come Together Once Tribulation Starts. Now, there's back and forth saying that tribulation has already started. Brothers did go through a lot of things during 2020. You know what happened late 2019 and all through 2020 with the pandemic. You know what happened. We ain't got to speak on it, right? So you could say that, but once tribulation really gets hot, let's just say that, then that's when we would come together. A lot of people ask like, when are us that say we in the truth, us that believe that we're the elect, us that call on the name Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, right? People ask, when are you guys going to come together? You so fragmented. It's like the stupidest shit ever. It's the dumbest shit ever. How we break ourselves up into groups, and then we make each other the enemies and fight against each other internally, right? So the best way, and this is kind of like more just going on my last video I made called opposition. The best way to bring people together is a common enemy. How are you going to bring the Native Americans, Latinos, and African Americans together? You're going to bring us together because we have a common enemy. But the thing is, right now, we don't have the pressure, right? We don't have the trouble right now. So everybody's still going to work or going to their businesses. Brothers is pushing hard for what they believe, the truth, doing works for the works of the Lord, right? But in your regular life, you're still just going to work, going to school, coming home, eating, getting up. And the cycle, the Ferris wheel just keeps going around and around and around. The same stuff you've been doing. So there's no trouble there. There's no incentive for us to assemble ourselves together because there's really no trouble there. It's just regular everyday life out there. And then sometimes some brothers, and when certain things happen in certain cities, they get rocked. They get hit, you know what I mean? But for the most part overall, it's the same things. The same Ferris wheel, the Party of America, Mystery Babylon is still on, it's still going. We can see down the road that it's going to come to an end, and that it's not the same as it used to be. But that Ferris wheel, yeah, it's not the beautiful Ferris wheel with all the lights on it, brand new, just assembled anymore. No, yeah, we see that it's old, but that motherfucker's still going around in a circle. You see what I'm saying? Everybody still got to get up Monday through Friday, go to work, have to have a drink, go probably hit a casino or something on the weekend, and try to keep the high holy days, the Sabbath day, and it's the same thing that's going on and on. So that's why you see us broken apart, and there's no incentive for us to come together. But once all hell happens, once tribulation happens, then we're going to have no choice because we're going to need each other. We're going to have no choice but to put our differences aside and come together. The same, but that's just with the Hebrew Israelites. Even on a bigger, when I say Hebrew Israelite, the one Westers, right? The ones that call on the name of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. But even on a bigger level, the tribes, right? The tribes are going to really come together because we have what? A common enemy. That's what you use to bring people together. You have to have an opposition. You have to have a common enemy. We break ourselves up into groups amongst each other and then make each other our enemies and then fight against each other, when really we should be coming together and looking at the Edomites, which is all the other nations, but the Edomites are at the head of that. Going to, Second Ezra 6 verse 9, Isaiah 63, the Edomites are the head of that, right? And the beast, NATO, right, which is controlled by the Edomites. If you had to, chop it down to the actual men that's in power of that, right? So we have to look at that as our enemy, our common enemy, in order to bring us together. Because some brothers, they say, well, you guys just talking about Esau. We know Esau's wicked. Man, that's how you come together. Why the Bible is written the way it is. Really, it's a story about Yahweh Shai and its future prophecies about Yahweh Shai. But it's also about the Israelites, because Yahweh Shai is an Israelite, right? The Israelites versus the Edomites, right? So the definition of the word tribulation says a cause of great trouble or suffering, So when are we going to come together? If you asking that question, if you wondering, when are we going to start coming together? When is the house of David going to be assembled together? It's when that trouble or suffering comes. Right now, individuals suffer and have trouble. But when Jacob's trouble comes, to the masses, the majority of us, then the 2/3 start to really like get judged. Then that's when brothers are gonna come together because they're gonna have to. And then your small differences that we blow out of proportion and make bigger than what they really are, they aren't gonna matter anymore. The main thing's gonna matter is, hey, bro, you believe in the Lord, you believe on this name, hey, you might think this precept means this. I might think this precept means this. But right now, we trying to survive our life depending on it. We ain't got food. We ain't got water. Our city ain't got electricity. All hell, the grid's down. All hell, them broken loose. They trying to hunt us down. They putting us on billboards. They looking for us. Because what it says in 2nd Ezra 16 is great insurrection on those that fear the Lord. So it's going to be us that actually fear the Lord. What does it say in Matthew 24? It says, then ye should be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then they should deliver you up to be killed. So us, the ones that is out there professing the name Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, something's going to switch, which we already see it, where they're going to start coming against us. And then it's going to be like, bro, yeah, you was from this camp. Y'all broke down Isaiah 14 different than how we broke it down. But bruh, that shit don't matter. Like right now, we'll blow it up and say, "I hate you. You a demon. You a devil. You gonna get judged because you don't break it down the way I break it down." But once that trouble comes, then you having a slightly different breakdown on this scripture than I having ain't gonna really make no difference because we gonna come together as brothers. That's when you gonna see brothers come together. But it's not gonna be like, okay, groups. Wouldn't it be great if we just had one group? If all the major big groups came together under just one group, just imagine something so beautiful like that, right? Under the Lord, right? Right? But that's not how it's going to happen. You're going to have brothers from these different groups. You're going to have a lot of these groups get cut off. And you're going to have brothers from these different groups that's going to be left out there. And then those brothers, whether they be the elect, they're going to come together, right? So tribulation, a cause of great trouble or suffering, right? It says a state of great trouble or suffering. Same thing. So Jacob's trouble, right, is what? It's a state of Jacob's trouble. It's a state of great trouble for Jacob. You see what I'm saying? So, but I ain't gonna go to that. That's Jeremiah 30 verse 7. Y'all know that one. Zephaniah chapter 1. I always start at verse 14. It says the great day of the Lord is near. It is near, it hastened greatly. Even the voice of the day of the Lord, the mighty man should cry there bitterly. So even mighty men are going to cry bitterly. The strongest men are going to have tears coming from their eyes. You know, I'll always quote this movie because my first time seeing it, it really hit me and left that impression on me. And it was the movie Greenland. Matter of fact, I might go watch it right now. It's the movie Greenland right now. It's not nuclear missiles coming out the sky, but it's like asteroids coming out the sky or whatever, meteors, one of them, right? And they're coming down and they're destroying the earth, right? And then they even quote, what's that? I think it's Revelations chapter 8 with the with wormwood, but they saying that it's a gigantic meteor that's coming down, and that's gonna be, it's a whole bunch of little ones coming down destroying the whole earth, and then the big one's gonna come down and just completely wipe it out, right? But one of the things I noticed during that movie, right, nothing mattered, right? That the whole thing of that movie was people was trying to get wristbands to get on planes to get to bunkers. That was what it was all about. People morals went out the window. People didn't give no fuck about being nice. You know what I mean? I think like somebody kid got kidnapped or something because they had a bracelet. Ain't nobody care about none of that. All people was trying to do was, everybody had one goal. Everybody was running around. Everybody had one goal: get to a bunker to try to survive. All the little differences and shit, all that shit went out the window. Just like it says in Matthew 24, the love of many waxed cold, right? And everybody was just focused on what? What is the bunker? Salvation. Everybody was just focused on salvation because they was in a state of great trouble and suffering. Meteors are coming down. You don't know where it's going to come down, and it's just destroying people. kept taking out whole cities. So that's a state of great trouble and suffering that everybody was on. The grid, if the meteor's coming down, that means the grid's coming down. So that means no sanitation. That means diseases. That means nobody's burying nobody. That means no water. That means water's contaminated. Like wormwood, the real breakdown of wormwood, which is the water's being contaminated. That means nuclear plants are going down, which is more contamination. That means no electricity. That means no trucks bringing in goods and foods. That means no medicines being imported. So that was a state of great trouble and suffering. And everything else went out the window. And it was all about what? The bunkers represent them trying to get salvation. Right? That's what it was all about, trying to get salvation. So when that Jacob's trouble comes on us, it's no longer going to be these little small differences we have. It's going to be, man, we trying to make it to the end. Because in Matthew 24, what does it say? It says, those that endure to the end, the same should be saved. Now, this is back in Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 15. It says, the day is a day of wrath, the day of trouble and distress. See? What is that? That's tribulation. That's the definition of tribulation. Because distress means suffering. And trouble, it says a day of trouble. See? It says a day of wasteness and desolations, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and the alarm against the fifth cities and against the high towers. And I will bring the distress upon man, which was, I will bring suffering upon man, that they shall walk like blind men because they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood shall be poured out as dust and their flesh as the dung. Now, if you now let's just say Jacob's trouble come and everything just goes perfectly fine for you. Everybody that you look up to, everybody that you learn from, everybody that you put on the pedestal, everybody that you, everything just beautiful for you. That's one thing, but when you read throughout the Bible, right? That's not what Jacob's trouble looks like, man. I always try to stress this, man. You gonna see your favorite guys get put to death. You gonna see your favorite guys not make it. What are you gonna do when the favorite guy and the guys that you looked up to or the guys you was standing right next to don't make it? Are you gonna give up faith? That's very tough. If I got this leader and everything I do is in the box that this leader made for me, right? If that leader gets taken out, what happens? Are you still going to keep faith? What if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, of the top leaders of who you look up to, get taken out? We know when certain people like Joel Osteen, he got that mega church, when he gets taken out, what you think is going to happen to his congregation, man? So you got to look at Jacob's trouble for what it is. People don't look at it as how bad it's going to be. So that's why Zephaniah 1 kind of like goes into it more to let you know what's going to happen. This is Zechariah 13, jumping to Zechariah 13, jumping around. Right? Verse 7, this is what's going to happen. It says, awake, O sword, against my shepherd and against my man that is my fellow, say the Lord of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep should be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little one. So when the Lord smites the shepherds, the leaders, the sheep gonna scatter. That's how it always happened, man. Now, when you read this verse, since we're humans and we want to be and we have hope, right? We always read this and we don't put ourselves in this. We say, okay, that's talking about the two. It is talking about the 2/3, but we say that's talking about somebody else. They ain't talking about us or my people or anybody in my group or whoever I look at. That's just talking about some other bug outs, right? But what if this is talking about you? What if this happened to your shepherd? What if your shepherd is a part of this? Because we all sin, so we all guilty of sin. So we all could be judged by the Lord for whatever sin, right? So what if the Lord decide to smite your shepherd? Then you got to kind of think about that, true, like when you look at like sports, boxing, basketball, right? A true champion, when he's, first of all, a true champion pitchers, like let's just talk about a fight, right? Boxing. A true champion plays the fight out almost like 1,000 times before the fight actually happened, before fight night. He plays out all the scenarios in his head. Now, a true champion don't just play out, I'm just win. A true champion also plays out and analyze, what if I'm losing? What if I'm down on the scorecards? You got to think about all that so you could be what? So you could be prepared for anything that comes your way. So when you read this Bible, you can't just look at it like you just the best thing in the world and you just already know. You got to have faith, but you got to prepare for, okay, what if I am following these people and they get smite and the Lord smites the shepherds? And that was one of the people that I was looking, what am I going to do? Am I going to stand strong? Or these brothers I was going down the camp with, standing next to, that had my back, what if they get scattered? And we get scattered and I'm not with them and all hell breaks loose and I'm just out there by myself. Am I still going to stand strong? You see, so that's why the Bible says every man must work out his own salvation, right? Verse 18 back in Zephaniah 1. Neither their silver nor their gold should be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land should be devoured by fire of his jealousy, for he should make even a speeding riddance of all them that dwell in the land. So this is going to be a horrible time, man. And a lot of brothers are not going to make it and faces are going to get few. You know, I always have respect for, like, when I see brothers out there on the highways and byways and they teaching, but they out there by themselves, because I had to do that. I did that for a year and a half, where I mean, people might say, oh, that's just a year or a year and a half, right? But you got to remember, we going out there every week. So that's 52 times. If you say a year and a half, 80, about 80 times, I went out there by myself and taught to the best of my ability. So I always have like a great respect when I see brothers out there on the highways and byways and they by themselves. It takes a lot to go out there and stand out there by yourselves, you know, which kind of goes into working out your own salvation. Don't just be in this because you want to be a man pleaser or you want to be liked by men, you know. Chapter 2, Zephaniah chapter 2. Now, Zephaniah chapter 1 goes right into Zephaniah chapter 2. Perfect, right? Because the point of this, right? Gather yourselves together, yeah, gather together, O nation, not desire. So we're being commanded to gather together. But that's going to happen what? After Zephaniah chapter 1. That's going to happen when what? Tribulation start. When that tribulation gets turned up, the Lord looking at us, we all fools. It says like we're like worms, right? Jacob is like a worm, right? So the Lord looking at us like with our little beefing problems that we have amongst each other, going at each other. The Lord looking at us like all he got to do is turn the heat up a little bit. That's it. Start turning the heat up. Turn the heat up and watch all those little problems and everybody that's in the way from us gathering ourselves together, not as a group, but as a nation. Like it says, gather yourselves together, O nation, not desire, not O group, not desired, right? Everybody that's in the way from us gathering ourselves, the 1/3, which is millions of people of Israelites, not a couple hundred, 300 or 500 people that's in your group. It's actually millions of Israelites that are supposed to gather together. The people that's in the way of that, when the Lord turn up the heat, that's how they gonna get burnt. They gonna get burnt. The more the Lord turn up the heat, they gonna get burnt. They gonna get burnt, right? So it says verse 2, before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as a chef, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Seek ye the Lord. You got to seek the Lord, man. All ye meek of the earth which have wrought his judgment, seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye should be hid in the day of the Lord's anger, but you got to seek righteousness and meekness. Don't a person will call you proud, but they the proud one. Don't be out here, trying to get ranked up and stuff like, man, this ain't the time for us to be trying to get ranks. What the fuck is that, man? We out here trying to get ranks? No, that if you trying to get ranked, that means you're trying to man please. Because the man that's over you determines if you rank up or not. No, it's time for us to seek righteousness, man. And seek the kingdom, seek the Lord. Right? Just like with Esau, right? Esau, they got a common enemy, so they fighting against each other. But what did it say in Revelation chapter 19? They're gonna they're gonna fight against. They're gonna come together to fight against the Lord, the kings of the earth. Right? What's going to unite those kings of the earth? A common enemy, which is their enemy is going to be the Lord. So it's just showing you how are we going to unite when we have a common enemy, which we do have a common enemy, the Edomites, right? Because we are actually on the Lord of the side. I mean, on the side of the Lord, slip of the tongue, right? But the heat got to be turned up. And what's the heat? Tribulation. Once that tribulation gets turned up, then that's when you're going to see us uniting. Because why is Esau going to unite? To fight against the Lord, because the Lord going to turn the heat up on their asses. And they going to be going through great tribulation. They going to say, look, we got to come put our differences aside. We got to fight against, they going to say, an alien force. Because they going to be losing everything. But actually, it's going to be the Lord and the angels. The elect coming back to take our kingdom, man. And then we forever going to be together and be one in the kingdom. Salvation to the elect, shalom.